President Trump planning to expand Guantanamo Bay to hold up to 30,000 illegal immigrants.
Well, Dana, I don't think it's rocket science. It's the Trump effect. You had some number of young men and women who didn't want to join the Army over the last 4 years under Joe Biden.
Today, a military flight carrying migrants is expected to head to Guantanamo Bay. President Trump has demanded the U.S. military base in Cuba house as many as 30,000 migrants awaiting deportation. One of the many questions is this even legal?
Do you think detaining migrants at Guantanamo Bay is a legal and ethical solution to border security issues? Why or why not? Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. So hello everyone, welcome to Trump Media. In this video, we'll be talking about the Trump administration's plan to house migrants at Guantanamo Bay has sparked controversy and legal questions amidst shifting US-Mexico relations and border security efforts. But before we begin, it would mean a lot if you guys would like this video and subscribe to the channel, and of course hit that notification bell to stay updated with our upcoming videos. So without further ado, let us begin. In this first clip, the US has begun transferring detained migrants to Guantanamo Bay with plans to expand capacity while border encounters in Texas have decreased. This comes as Mexico deploys troops to its border and the Trump administration uses military planes for deportations, with Senator Cotton supporting the Guantanamo Bay plan. So here's the clip.
The first flights from the United States to Guantanamo Bay with illegal migrants are underway. President Trump is not messing around.
The Trump administration is starting the process of expanding the migrant detention center at Guantanamo Bay. Let's bring in Senator Tom Cotton, Republican of Arkansas and chair of the Intel Committee. This is President Trump on Guantanamo and why he's using it.
On Guantanamo Bay, is there enough space there to accommodate?
There's a lot of space to accommodate a lot of people, yeah, so we're going to use it.
Can you talk a little bit
We
more
have
about
it. It's
why?
already up. We have it for nothing. But we can do less expensive and even more secure. We've had other countries come to us saying we would love to do that. We would love to take your criminals and we'll maintain that. We'll be their jail. And I'm only talking for the most severe cases.
Your take on what's going on down there at Gitmo.
Well, Dana, President Trump is right. Guantanamo Bay is a good place to put these illegal migrants. It's much safer than an American base. It's a large base. I've been there. It has a very modest American presence there, unlike bases here in America where we have large families and training grounds and so forth. There is a detention center in Guantanamo Bay going back to at least the 1990s under Bill Clinton, with migrants there pending repatriation to their own countries. You don't have to worry about losing control of them or even escaping the base, as happened in Arkansas in 1980 at Fort Chaffee when Governor Clinton, or Bill Clinton, was the governor, and we put the Mariel boat lift people there. So I think it's a very smart idea to put some of these migrants who are pending repatriation to their home countries in Guantanamo Bay. It's kind of like what Secretary Rubio discussed with President Bukele of El Salvador over the weekend. He's very pro-American. He's been supportive of the United States. He's willing to take foreign nationals as well, pending repatriation. I think that's something we should consider as well. It's just an example of the kind of creative, unconventional thinking that the president has brought back to Washington to serve American interests, to get dangerous and violent migrants off of our streets and back to their home countries.
We just saw some of that possibly happening in Denver. Also wanted to ask you about Army recruiting. This has been an issue that's been a real concern for America. The Post from the U.S. Army said that they've had their most productive December in 15 years by enlisting 346 soldiers daily into the world's greatest army. Our recruiters have one of the toughest jobs, inspiring the next generation to serve. Congratulations and keep up the great work. What do you put that down to?
Well, Dana, I don't think it's rocket science. It's the Trump effect. You had some number of young men and women who didn't want to join the Army over the last 4 years under Joe Biden and Christine Wormuth, the former Secretary of the Army, when they thought it was more focused on wokeness and DEI and climate change. That's not why young men and women join our military. They do it because they love the country, they want to serve in uniform, they want to serve a cause greater than themselves next to battle buddies who are going to be friends for a lifetime. That's clearly what's on the mind of these new recruits who are joining since President Trump won re-election, and I believe that it's going to continue to improve in the future. Now, that's not the only reason. There are still issues with getting kids medical waivers if they need it for a long ago injury, or just processing them through the initial entry system system more quickly, and the Army can do a better job of that, and I've discussed that with Pete Hegseth and Dan Driscoll, the incoming Secretary of the Army. But I think these numbers put paid to the idea that it was some overall economic condition or competitive pay with the private sector. It was that a lot of young people didn't want to join the Army with Joe Biden as the Commander-in-Chief.
In this next clip, the Trump administration's plan to detain up to 30,000 migrants at Guantanamo Bay faces legal challenges and involves establishing 10 facilities. This comes after a trade dispute with Mexico where Trump delayed tariffs in exchange for troop deployment to the border. So here's the clip.
Today, a military flight carrying migrants is expected to head to Guantanamo Bay. President Trump has demanded the U.S. military base in Cuba house as many as 30,000 migrants awaiting deportation. One of the many questions is this even legal? CNN's Priscilla Alvarez is part of the team behind this reporting. First of all, I think that's the question we can ask about pretty much anything that we're talking about that they're doing. Is this even legal? But with your reporting, I want you to explain what the specific plans are.
Well, and the question that DHS, Department of Homeland Security lawyers and Pentagon lawyers were reviewing over the last several days is, can they take someone who has arrived on U.S. soil, pluck them out of the United States, and take them to Guantanamo Bay for them to be repatriated to another country? We have never done that before. What we have done is interdicted them at sea, taken them to a migrant operations center that has been there for years before repatriating them. So this next phase of how they are opening up Guantanamo Bay, and the migrant center in particular, is different, it's unprecedented, and it is what lawyers have been assessing over the last several days, according to sources. Now, planning is well underway. What they are doing here is essentially building up tent facilities. This would be in the Migrant Operations Center area of Guantanamo Bay. We have used, and by we I mean the United States, has used tent facilities along the U.S. southern border before when there have been surges. It has been for a very short amount of time before they can process them out. Tent facilities are exactly what you would imagine. They are meant to hold people for very short periods of time. And the question with Guantanamo is, how long will someone be there? Now, the Homeland Security Secretary said over the weekend they will not be held there indefinitely, but a lot relies on countries taking people back. This is something that President Donald Trump talks a lot about. He just struck a deal with Venezuela to have these deportation flights. Well, that also happened during the Biden administration, and then from one day to the next, Venezuela stopped doing that. So if you were in a situation like that, what happens to those who are already there? And without access to legal service providers, which is unclear if they will have them, as well as other services, because everything comes into Guantanamo Bay, it is not just there. There's still a lot of unanswered questions here, but they're very much planning all of it. It could take about 30 days for them to get all of the facility up and running, but we are told that they're going to start sending them there now.
30,000 people,
Single adults. We're not anticipating families, but again, remains to be seen.
The proposed plan to send migrants to Guantanamo Bay raises complex legal and logistical hurdles, casting doubt on its feasibility. Meanwhile, the recent trade agreement highlights the challenges of negotiating with President Trump, whose unpredictable tactics often lead to uncertain outcomes. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and of course hit that notification bell for more content. See you in the next one.